Do not weep, maiden, for war is kind. Because your lover threw wild hands toward the sky, and the affrighted steed ran on alone, do not weep, war is kind. Hoarse, booming drums of the regiment, little souls who thirst for fight, these men were born to drill and die. The unexplained glory flies above them. Great is the battle god, great, and his kingdom, a field where 1,000 corpses lie. Do not weep, babe, for war is kind. Because your father tumbled in the yellow trenches, raged at his breast, gulped and died, do not weep, war is kind. Swift blazing flag of the regiment, eagle with crest of red and gold, these men were born to drill and die. Point for them the virtue of slaughter, make plain to them the excellence of killing, and a field where 1,000 corpses lie. Mother, whose heart hung humble as a button on the bright splendid shroud of your son, do not weep, war is kind. If you didn't pick up on the irony there, well, let's take a look at the poem again. Do not weep, maiden, for war is kind. That's pretty much an ironic statement right off the bat, but he illustrates the irony with all of this bloody imagery that he follows with it. Your lover threw wild hands toward the sky, the affrighted steed ran on alone. So a lover is throwing his hands at the sky and his horse is running away, but don't weep, because war is kind. The regiment drums and the little souls who thirst to fight were born to drill and die, the unexplained glory flies above them. Great is the battle god, great. Notice the repetition of great, as in anyone who denies that must be someone small. A field where 1,000 corpses lie is the battle god's kingdom. That is the battle god's greatness. A field where 1,000 corpses lie. And yet, war is kind. I think we're starting to pick up on the ironic juxtaposition and what's happening here, how it's building all these images and basically building an entire case against its very statement. Do not weep, babe, as in child, small child, for war is kind, because your father tumbled in the yellow trenches, raged at his breast, gulped and died. So basically your father died in war? Don't weep, war is kind. Swift blazing flag of the regiment. What's the imagery he builds up, the clarity of the picture. Eagle with crest of red and gold. These men were born to drill and die. You see the alliteration there, drill and die. Point for them the virtue of slaughter. So if anyone objects, tell them how good and virtuous this killing is. Make plain to them the excellence of killing, and a field where 1,000 corpses lie. Easy to overcome objections that way, right? Mother, whose heart hung humble as a button on the bright splendid shroud of your son, as in a funeral shroud. Mother hangs her heart figuratively on her son's funeral shroud. But don't weep, war is kind. I hope, we're all getting the message. From Stephen Crane, author of The Red Badge of Courage, one of the greatest war/anti-war novels of all time, we get this little poem, Do not weep, maiden, for war is kind. Can you build a tale, a story, or a poem out of such an ironic contrast? Give it a go.